Hello everyone, welcome to Bouchaine Bistro, created to showcase great talents of our estate chef Martin and beautiful wines from Bouchaine Vineyards. My name is Marija. I'm a certified sommelier, WSET advanced and certified specialist of wine, but even more important, I have a great passion for wine and food from all over the world. Today's menu is taking us to Rome, but before Marty tells us all about it, I would like to invite you to stay with us after the show and join the wine conversation with our wine educator, Robert Fisher. So Marty, what are we cooking today?
Well, we are cooking 3 of the 4 classic Roman pastas. And what's really amazing is you can see this is all the ingredients that go into them. It's not a lot of ingredients. Roman cuisine is a cuisine of actually scarcity and poverty. If you look at the history of Rome before the uniting of Italy in 1865 was the province of the priests, the bishops, the cardinals, and the Pope. Particularly the Medici family and the Borghese family, back and forth between the 2 of them. They got all the good stuff. They got all the prime cuts of meat, pork, chicken, whatever. And the people of Rome, they basically got what was left over. So these 3 pastas were made of necessity. So the 4 classic pastas are cacio e pepe, 3 ingredients: pecorino romano, pepper, and pasta water. The next one we do is pasta carbonara, which we're going to be doing today. And that's basically eggs, pecorino. I have some pancetta, which has been cooked already ahead of time, pancetta fat, and fettuccine. And we're also going to do a michoacana, which is named after a town about 20 miles outside of Rome, which was actually leveled a few years ago with a big earthquake. But it's basically tomatoes, pecorino romano, guanciale, I don't know if I pronounce it right, which is basically pork jowl that's treated like bacon, pecorino romano, and that's it. And then we have the last one is pasta alla Galicia, which is basically guanciale, the fat, pecorino romano, and pasta. That's it. Those are all these ingredients have. Yet, like a lot of peasant foods, they are absolutely delicious. Think of like duck confit from France. I mean, made to store the duck over the winter. It's absolutely delicious. You can think of the peasant stews of south of France, the tapas and jamons from Spain. You go into China and the street food, the dumplings. All these foods were made because they were inexpensive, easy to store, easy to make, with common ingredients, and yet they're still being made today because they're absolutely delicious.
Yeah, actually the history of all these Roman pastas started with cacio e pepe, which is actually base for all the pastas we're making today as well. Goes back to the shepherds.
Yeah.
And actually the first pastas were made by the shepherds in Italy, and what they could take with them was the dried pasta, dried sheep cheese like pecorino, black pepper, and occasionally some dry cured meat like pancetta.
Yep, and that's it. And again, it's a cuisine of poverty. A little funny thing is that one of the restaurants we went to when we were in Rome the first time, turns out it was classic Roman cuisine, turns out to have been a favorite of Pope Francis before he became the Pope. Big signed picture in the back of the house was really kind of funny. And they were saying it was Il Pape's favorite restaurant, but whatever. So we're going to make first, we're going to start the michoacana because that actually has a sauce that takes a little bit of time to make. Then we're going to do a little bit of the carbonara, and we'll finish with the alla Galicia. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to take our tomatoes. These are San Marzano tomatoes. They are grown in a specific area outside of Naples. I think it's like 40 square miles is the only place they can grow something like that. If you're going to make these pastas, you'll find the recipes on our website. Use the real imported products. One of the great things about living in America is that you can get imported stuff. The pecorino we're using is from Italy. Actually, it's made in Umbria. I don't think it's made in Lazio, but
Still central Italy.
Still central Italy. It's like they have DOCs in Italy for wine and DOCGs. They have DOPs, which are areas that certain products can grow in. San Marzano tomatoes, a perfect example, DOP, as is Pecorino Romano, another DOP. They have DOPs on pasta. It's only
You can be very geeky about your food and wine, especially when you're in Italy.
In Italy. Well, Italy is organized
So
chaos.
you do suggest canned tomatoes,
Canned
Marzano, right?
San Marzano. You can use fresh plum tomatoes. It works. I think it works better with canned tomatoes. Again, these are Italian San Marzanos. For those of you near a Costco, I'll give you a little hint. There's a brand of San Marzano tomatoes that Costco sells in 3 and 6 packs. Take advantage of it. Buy them. I mean, it's a great deal.
And
So
you
we're
will
going to
have
take
a lot of delicious pasta.
Yeah, seriously.
make.
If you're going to make your own bolognese, your own marinara, your own mitricana, it helps to have them in your pantry. I got here a little red pepper flakes. We're going to use those to add a little oomph to the dish. So, over here, I've actually pre-started all 3 pastas, basically using the pork product. This one over here is for the mitricana. You have the guanciale, a little bit of sautéed onion.
Would you like to explain what the guanciale are?
Guanciale is actually the pork jowl, or the pork cheek, and it's treated like bacon. It's not exactly easy to find. There's a place here in Napa that makes it. Where I got it. Whole Foods might have it. It's not real common. You can use pancetta.
Pancetta will, but it's about the fat content. It has a lot of fat, and it's about that fat that will actually render to making the sauce and bring that nice richness and more flavor.
Yeah, it's the fat you're looking for on this.
So we are using pork for all 3 pastas today.
Oh yeah, and the fat. And then the other thing, which you can't see, I have some pasta water that I saved from pre-cooking the pasta. The reason I did that is we're going to use actually 2 of these dishes. The pasta water is an integral part of making the dish. Kind of like cacio e pepe, same thing.
Very important, yes. When you listen about cacio e pepe, it sounds very simple because you have only pasta, black pepper, and a cheese. But it's very technique-driven dish because if you don't use in the proper way that pasta water that has a lot of starch, you can end up with very clumpy mess. So it's about the technique how to make. Even sounds really basic.
Now in this dish, you're actually using the tomatoes as your binding agent, but you can use a little pasta water at the end if the tomatoes get too dry.
So now we are actually caramelizing the onions or shallots. What are you using?
I used onions. I pre-cooked them, so they're pretty well caramelized. I'm just waiting to heat up to get a little heat on them. I put a little red pepper flakes in there. And I'm just going to add
tomatoes.
The tomatoes. I'm going to bring it to a boil, turn the heat down, and I'm going to let it simmer until it reduces by about half.
And do you add any herbs later, or?
You can. It's not traditional. Again, you have to remember the cuisine. It's like
pretty simple. Okay.
Very simple. So this is simmering. This also is going to use the pork fat to thicken the sauce as well. Now I'm going to let that simmer down, turn the heat down, and I'm going to fire up carbonara.
And what kind of meat?
Carbonara is using pancetta.
This is pancetta. Okay.
You want to get that simmering.
No any oil needed, right? You just use its own fat from the pancetta.
So here is the thing with carbonara. I have here 2 whole eggs, 4 egg yolks. We're going to whisk those up a little bit. And then we're going to whisk in the cheese.
Are you using pecorino for all 3 pastas today?
Pecorino Romano.
When you look, we have 3 different pastas, but ingredients are pretty much the same. With a little different combination, you get really delicious pasta, but basically we're using pasta, cheese, and black pepper,
and some sort
eggs
of pork,
or tomato,
some sort of cured pork.
Pure pork.
All right, so next thing we're going to do, I have here fettuccine. This is actually imported fettuccine. I found that at Safeway of all places. I pre-cooked it. It is al dente. Normally, if you were going to do this right, you would do this with as you're cooking, you cook your pasta. But we don't have the room or the capability, so And then you're going to finish your pasta in the pan.
And be sure that your pasta is al dente, right? You don't want to overcook the pasta. Right, Marty?
That is correct. Now here's where your pasta water comes in.
So you save some pasta starchy water, and now you're just adding a little bit to the mixture.
What we're looking to do here is we want to finish the pasta.
Can you just a little, so they can actually, perfect, yeah. And for how long?
You want to do it till the water is evaporated and the pasta is loosened up a little bit. Again, this is actually just a little step I'm doing because I pre-cooked the pasta and I want to finish it. Here is the tricky part. Get the pasta hot.
And you always want to use the pasta water, not the regular water. It will work the same way.
Yeah, you want some of that starch from the pasta water.
That will make really nice, silky kind of texture of the pasta too, when you add the pasta water to it.
Well, it adds a little extra starch, which binds whatever there to it.
So when is the right time to add eggs? I think that will be the one that can be the tricky part, right?
You want the pasta hot. Almost.
So you're dunking pasta into the egg mixture.
Into the egg mixture. You're going to let the pasta cook the eggs.
Oh wow, that's a really nice little secret.
See, if you don't have the right temperature, the eggs will split up and they won't taste as good. Okay, we're going to now turn that off.
Maybe you can show them to see how it looks like. Perfect. Which one is your personally favorite out of these three, or let's say four, including cacio e pepe?
I like them all, unfortunately. And here we are. We're just going to let them cook a little bit. I'm going to add a touch of water, pasta water to it to thin it out. Make a nice creamy sauce. Now you don't have to worry about salt on this dish. You got bacon. You're using bacon fat.
And pecorino, so cheese has a lot of salt as well.
A lot of salt. So if you can get us one of those plates there, Maria.
Our kitchen already smells amazing.
Thank you. Oh, it smells really good.
So that was pretty easy, except with the part with adding the water, right?
That's
so
it.
You just add a little bit multiple times.
And I'm going to put a little bit of chive on it. Parsley could also be used. A little bit of chive, just add
Just add a
a
little freshness to it.
little color to it. Your eyes pick up green really well. Okay, so we're going to move on. Let's look at our bucatini. I'm going to go to Greeley next. The sauce is not ready. You want it to thicken about halfway.
So you're waiting for the tomato to evaporate, right?
Waiting for all the juice to evaporate. So let's put this back here. We're going to take this. So alla Greeley, we have the pork jowl or the guanciale. And basically what we're going to do is that we are going to toss the pasta when this heats up with the pork. And then we are going to add cheese and some pasta water to create a creamier sauce.
Perfect.
First time I had this dish with my brother-in-law, my wife, and my brother-in-law's brother, we were in a little trattoria in some square in the middle of Trastevere in Rome. Just blew me away how much I liked it.
Yeah, it's pretty simple, but really delicious and goes really well with the local wines as well.
Well, we had it with a Brunello, which is not quite local, but...
Still Sangiovese. You can say it's a local grape.
Yeah, I guess you could say that.
There are more than 200 varieties in Lazio, but you know, if you're in Rome, you will definitely enjoy with wines from central Italy, with like Cesenese, Montepulciano, Sagrantino, exactly. So that will really pair well with any of these pastas.
What's really funny is that the Michoacano, the first time we had was in a wine bar by the Pantheon, and we did have it with Sagrantino.
And you know, since there is a tomato sauce has really bright acidity, so you will want to pair it with a wine that has high acidity as well. So it's not by accident that tomato-based sauce in Italy is always paired with Sangiovese and wine that has brighter acidity as well. Something to look for when you're looking for a perfect wine and food match.
All right, so we added pasta to the dish. Now what we're going to look to do.
Again, adding more of the pasta water.
Can you do me a favor, Maria? Give me another wooden spoon, please. Thank you. So again, here we're looking to get the pasta hot. I put a little water in there to help cook it along. Got the little bits of bacon that were left on the bottom of the pan.
Do you always use the same type of pasta for each of these?
They're all dry pastas.
Okay.
Roman cuisine is all based on dry pasta, which I found really, first time I was in Rome, really amazing.
Very different then, and we were talking about that, how regional cuisine in Italy and a lot of other countries is. If you go to Piedmont, they're actually known for handmade pastas.
Yeah. You go up to, you also go up to Emilia Romagna, to Bologna. Again, they got the stuffed pastas, really fresh pasta, tortellini, ravioli from that area. Italian cooking is extremely regional. Much more so, I think the only one that really compares to Italian cooking and regionality is probably Chinese cooking. All right, we're going to put the cheese in. Get a little more pasta water. And we're going to look to combine everything.
We're looking forward to taste those later.
Should be good.
And while Martin's finishing his pastas, I can tell you a little more about the Bouchaine Vineyards. So we are located in Napa Valley, but unlike the northern part of the valley, focused on Cabernet Sauvignon and Bordeaux varieties, we are actually located in the most southern part of the valley, much closer to San Francisco and San Francisco Bay. So we got a lot of that cold influence from the San Francisco and San Pablo Bay. So a lot of fog rolls in the morning. And instead of the Cabernet Sauvignon, as I said, the other Bordeaux varieties, we actually focused on Pinot Noir, Chardonnay, Pinot Meunier, Pinot Blanc, so cooler climate grapes. We make about 20 different wines. We have about 100 acres here on the property. And for today, we chose 4 different wines to pair with the pastas. One is our Brut Rosé. It's a dry sparkling wine made of Chardonnay, Pinot Noir, and Pinot Gris. We use the same method of Champenoise, like one they make for champagne production. Then we have a Hyde Chardonnay. It's a premium vineyard here located in Carneros. Then we have Dijon Clone Pinot Noir. We make about 7 different Pinot Noirs here, and some are also clonal selections, Swan, Dijon, and Pommard. And we have also Hyde Vineyard Syrah. So we will taste each wine with a different pasta and see which one's our favorite. But as you always say, trust your own palate. So wine that works the best is one that, you know, it should be your choice. Although there is something to follow when we do wine and food pairings, that would be to look for the texture, intensity, body of both, so nothing to overwhelm, right? They should complement each other. And Marty, how are we doing with the pasta? I think
Pasta's good. We are done with this one.
perfect. So we have one more, and I will sprinkle chives
A little
over.
chive on there? So we're adding bucatini, which is kind of like a spaghetti. It's actually kind of from Rome. I mean, that's where it's from, the region of Lazio. It's actually a long spaghetti, and it has a hole through the middle of it. You're going to find a mitricana it's using a mitricana. It's also the pasta that I prefer for cacio e pepe. And we're just going to let this cook a little bit here before we add the cheese. And you can smell the sweetness of the San Marzano tomatoes, which are very different than the stuff that you get from the U.S. Type of thing. Now, these were whole tomatoes that I smashed myself. Marija can testify. I almost hit her dress with it as I was smashing them.
But it was worth. Now we're getting delicious pasta.
I'm just going to let that cook for a little bit. Add a little pasta water to it.
Again, that pasta water, that it's final touch.
You know, it's funny. I worked in a restaurant. I did pasta. It's the first time I ever was taught how to do that. I never knew about that one. So what we're going to do is we're going to let this pasta heat up in here. And then we're going to add the pecorino romano. So, as I said, Roman cuisine is scarcity. One of my favorite dishes from Roman cuisine is actually not really, it's actually a Roman Jewish dish. It's local sunchokes or Jerusalem artichokes. They batter them and deep fry them. They're absolutely out of this freaking world.
That's great. We should make for some of the next Bouchaine Bistro.
Get me a deep fryer.
We'll work on that.
Deep frying is an interesting thing. So I'm going to let this cook off a little bit. So as you see, Roman pastas, they're simple, few ingredients, common ingredients. Very important to the dish. So that's cooking over there. I'm going to go get a pan. It should be almost done.
What other regions in Italy, what kind of pastas do you like? All?
There are more types of pasta in Italy than there are probably people. There's the tortellini on brodo, which is from Bologna. It's meat tortellini served in a broth, very nice dish. What other memorable pastas I had? The three we're having today, obviously.
Yeah, cacio e pepe. We made a cacio e pepe a few weeks ago, but we actually kind of elevated the cacio e pepe, shaving the truffles over it.
Yeah, cacio e pepes, I love them. What I find interesting is that pasta pomodoro, which is pasta with tomatoes, this is kind of like that. Is common, but this is not. This is different than pomodoro, and it's different than marinara. Marinara is basically a dish from Emilia Romano. It's the straight tomato version of sugo alla bolognese.
So, and as we said, if you cannot find that pork's cheeks, you can use the pancetta. Any other option?
Pancetta will work. Bacon will work too. It's just not as good. It just doesn't work as well. There's something about the spicing of the real stuff.
And you definitely need something with a higher fat content.
Yes, for sure.
And now my favorite part, tasting the food and the wine. Beautiful colors on the plate too.
And they're different. This is not, vibrantly colored, but it's nice, subtle colors.
Thank you.
I made a mess here. Oh boy.
And if anybody has any questions about the pastas or wine, let us know.
Last thing we got to do for you.
Sure. You can never have too much cheese.
Yeah, Pecorino Romano. Oh, all this stuff. Okay. Which one do you want to try first?
I think sparkling wine will be great, and I already know that it will go with all the pastas because sparkling wine is universal. And I would like to cheers to everyone, and
Cheers.
Thanks for joining us.
Now, what is your favorite sparkling region in Italy?
I do love Franciacorta, which would be the Lombardy. Not very well known here, but delicious when you're in Italy. It's made also by traditional method, but they use all different grapes: Chardonnay, Pinot Noir, and Pinot Bianco.
Or Pinot Blanc, as we call it here.
Very nice, very nice, dry, very mineral. A lot of a kind of pink grapefruit, pomegranate, a lot of citrus.
Try a little of the Tricano. And one thing you notice, not a lot of meat in these dishes.
But still a lot of fat and a lot of flavor from the meat that you render during the cooking. And when you pair the wine and food, taste wine always first on its own, then food, and then wine again. That's the best way to compare and see how they complement each other. These dishes definitely, all three, they're rich, right? They have a lot of fat. So the sparkling wine with the bright acidity and bubbles really goes nicely to cutting the richness of the pasta as well. And salt from the meat and salt from the cheese enhance the flavors from the wine as well. To really get this bright fruit.
Carbonara is good. I will attest that this wine goes great with all three of them.
Yeah, absolutely. And in general, sparkling wine with the fried food, with like cream cheeses, like baked brie,
Goes with
it's
anything.
really delicious, even on its own. I think it's perfect for Sunday morning. Then we have a Hyde Chardonnay. Hyde, it's a vineyard here located in Caneros. If there is a designation like a Grand Cru, I'm sure Hyde Vineyard will have it. Very complex wines. A little richer on the palate. A lot of like a lemon, citrus, lemon curd, a little fresh pineapple.
Goes really well with the Galicia. Now, these dishes have a lot of salt in them as a result of being cooked in the rendered fat. So you need acidity on your wine. Very important.
That's why all Italian wines have really bright acidity because they always enjoy wine with food. And now you can say the same for the Bouchaine wines.
I don't know if you remember, Maria. A few years ago, we went to a luncheon where they showed the Trebbiari winners from around the country. And so we went to luncheon, and it was funny. They talk about the wine, every wine they went to, and then the last line and bracing acidity. And
Very important.
I've never had an Italian wine that did not have bracing acidity.
And
even
it
in
goes
dessert wines
so
have
well
bracing
with
acidity.
it's especially important for the sweet wines.
Yeah.
You need something to cut the sweetness. So I think it really goes well with the Hyde Chardonnay as
I
well.
think it goes really. I think the high
And
Chardonnay
it
is
has
good.
kind of richness, creaminess it has in the pasta as well. So we are matching the texture here. Then we have Dijon clones. So we make 3 different clones of Pinot Noir Swan, which will be really light. So if you like really elegant, light, very aromatic, with very soft tannins Pinot Noir, Swan will be that one. Then we have Pomar, which is kind of opposite, much darker, richer, a little more robust, a little more dark fruits.
A little bit of cocoa powder on it.
And then we have Dijon, which is, I would say, a little more earthy and spicy. And I think it really matches all these pastas with a lot of fat and the pork cheeks and the cheese as well.
One of the things about Chris as a winemaker, Chris wants to emphasize that our wines are Carneros wines. And because of that, most of our wines do have a lot of acidity to them. You don't age them very long in barrels, so it's 10 months to a year, and that's it for most of our wines. Not a lot of new French oak. I mean, 10-20% for most of them. I think the Hyde has 30%, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, wine, it's all about the balance. And primary flavors should come from the grapes and where the grape come from. So that we can say we make terroir-driven wines. Wine that really speak of its land, that bring that sense of place, right? You taste the soil, elevation, terroir, exactly here in this spot in Napa Valley. And
just released.
It's actually one of our favorites. It's a Hyde vineyard, the same vineyard like a Chardonnay, but this is Syrah. Definitely cool climate Syrah.
Oh, definitely.
A lot of salivation, so really bright acidity. A lot of
baked, spice notes. I get a little bit
spice, also a little floral, like a violets, lavender, purple flowers, darker fruits. And Syrah always had this kind of smoked bacon, meaty character that I think really goes well with pancetta and smoked bacon that we have here. So we really, this would be a really nice complementary pairing. And then wine it's very young, still has a tannic structure that is a little, higher. So any salt, fat, protein really works well with a wine with a lot of tannins. Tannins make softer. The same like if you have a black tea, you put a little milk in it. That will make tannins softer. The same is with a wine and cheese.
Also with this wine, we found out the other day we had some open, is that the meatiness and the bacon on the nose, once it was open for an hour or two, really came out.
Oh, I agree. This one definitely we suggest, recommend opening 1 or 2 hours before.
And we just released it. It's I think my favorite Syrah is our Hyde Syrah.
Yeah, beautiful. It's very, as I said, cool climate Syrah, very similar to the Northern Rhone.
Chris is touting. She made 2019. We made our first estate Syrah. It's like only 1 or 2 barrels of it, which means 25 or 50 cases, not a lot. And according to Chris and Brian, who's our direct-to-consumer manager, they say it's the best red wine they've ever made off of a state vineyard. And I said, why don't you bring us some to try? We would like to, but so we're looking forward to that one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Also, in 2020, we made our first Gewürztraminer.
Yeah, that will really go well with all the spicy food in Asian cuisine, Thai, Chinese that we often cook here as well. And the next Sunday, we actually have a very special Bouchaine Bistro.
Truffle. It's going to be, we're going to take some really basic dishes and elevate them with truffles.
Exactly, and I'm a big fan a lover of truffles, so we'll have some fresh truffles. Black truffle season this year is great. White truffles are over, black truffles are coming. They're still in season, and we'll have some bianchetti after it. So
we're going to be doing a pizza with truffles and burrata. We're going to be doing a creamy pasta made with Saint Andre with truffles, and we're also going to do something called a Rossini burger, which is a play on Tornado's Rossini, but using a hamburger instead.
Yeah, please join us next Sunday if you would like to learn more about the truffles. And any questions before Rob takes over and start his wine conversation?
I'm going to say cheers to everybody.
Cheers to everybody. Have a great Sunday and hopefully see you again.
Day.
And Rob will be with us in a 5 minutes, so please stay on.
Stay on. We look forward to seeing you again next week.